Okay, we're going to kind of start at the beginning.
Okay.
You grew up in Santa Cruz.
Yeah.
And at some point in your young life decided dancing was going to be for you. So just sort of walk us through, when did you know that this was going to be sort of your passion?
I came out of the womb, as I like to say, dancing. So anytime there would be a slippery floor or something that I could move or glide on, I would just glide around the kitchen. I loved gliding around the kitchen. And my folks noticed that. They saw that I had this joy of dance in me. So they put me in gymnastics and ballet and tap. And then ballet was the thing that I guess I felt the most free in. I remember there were prompts of like, leap like a butterfly or grow like a flower. And I love my connection to nature. And so those visuals really inspired me to just be those things.
So you were really young. I don't know if you remember just how old you were, but did you feel the support of family, of friends, of everyone as a really young boy in dance?
Yeah, I did, from my folks. And they have no background in dance. They just saw this thing in me and were like, we want to support that. It got more challenging in my older years, like as a teenager. I always felt a bit different. And that was challenging. But
in what ways?
Let's see. I was really in tune with my purpose and my passion from a very young age, and that was different from a lot of other young people. Also, I was the only boy that I knew who was dancing. So there was a lot of challenges there. And even when I found myself in the ballet studio, which might feel like home, or this place where I could really express myself, I was the only boy in the ballet studio. So even there, I was different. So I've spent a life feeling a bit on the outside and a bit different, and then later in life have found that I'm really at home with myself.
You were talking about being the only boy in your classes, and I think it's unusual for young people to feel that kind of isolation at such a young age. So what was that like, and how did you deal with that? I'm imagining other kids in ballet or in some field of interest where they're the only one, or the only one in their class who's, maybe African American or whatever it is.
Sure, yeah.
That isolation, what was that like?
Yeah, I imagine it's probably universal that a lot of us feel like we're the only one at something in our life. For me, dedicating myself and devoting myself to my passion, to my ballet, was what really helped guide me through. It was really challenging at times when all of my friends from school were going to movies or hanging out on the weekends, and I was in the studio. In a way alone, because I was the only boy, and my challenges were unique from all of the other dancers who were working with their point shoes or didn't have to learn how to partner. So I always just focused on the joy that I got from dancing. And I remember there was a story, my mother was driving me to ballet one day when I was young, and I wasn't feeling well. I had a stomach ache. And she was like, well, you don't have to go to ballet today. We can skip it and you can go home and rest. And I said to her, like, I always feel better when I'm dancing. And I knew that I would feel better once I got to class and once I started getting to enjoy that space. So that's really what I focused on.
So from Santa Cruz ballet schools to PNB, what was that journey? How did you end up here in the Northwest?
Yeah, so I was in Santa Cruz, and then my teachers, they got me about to the level that they knew that they could, and they recognized that my talent was beyond what they could offer for me. So they sent me to New York. I went to the School of American Ballet. I auditioned there and moved there when I was 16.
Whoa.
Yeah, so again, a challenge that for me, I only know my life, so it felt really normal to me. In hindsight now, looking back, I realized...
By yourself? 16 in New York City?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was in a dormitory with a lot of other young people, sort of similar to Juilliard, but a lot of really young professional mindset people. And the competition, the intensity of that place forged me in a way. And so from there, I got my training, worked with Peter Bull, who's my current director, and then made my way out here to Pacific Northwest Ballet.
It sounds like it was a breeze for you. It couldn't have been. Couldn't have been.
No.
What were some of the challenges
Sure.
that helped form you then as a young dancer? Things that were really hard then?
Yeah, learning to live on my own in New York as a teenager. That was challenging. I encountered a lot of obstacles as far as New York City is full, and there are a lot of opportunities, and you can go down different paths. And I definitely went down paths that pulled me away from my direction. So those were challenges where I realized in hindsight that I was actually harming myself from my direction.
How did you recorrect? For young people out there right now who might be picking different paths for them.
Yeah, a lot of falling on my face, metaphorically and literally. And I think something that's wonderful about ballet is the practice in resilience. We learn from a very young age to pick yourself back up, learn the lessons from whatever caused you to fall, and keep moving forward. But definitely a lot of challenges. Heartbreak. Really heartbreak.
What?
Well, I had an opportunity with the New York City Ballet and was hired as an apprentice with them, and I got into some trouble. And so I got in some trouble with the school and got kicked out from the school, which meant that I lost my apprenticeship. And this was devastating because that was, at the time, all I knew as far as my dream. I wanted this so badly, and so it was just ripped from my life. And so again, an opportunity to practice resilience. It took me some time. It took me some time to come back from that, but my dedication to ballet really carried me through.
So those are what we call learning moments.
Yeah.
Right? What did you learn from that?
Oh gosh. I learned to dig into my resilience. I also learned that sometimes life is unfair. This was a really unfortunate situation where I was in some trouble, but I was also, the circumstances of the situation were pretty challenging. So something I say to much younger dancers is we give all of our hearts to this moment. It's our passion, we're dedicated, we know from a young age what we want to do, and when we have a disruption in that path, it can be so confronting and so challenging, and I see it with so many young dancers, and I offer to them, just keep going. Just I know it feels like the end of the world right now, but you have so much life in front of you, such a career in front of you, and so I had people in my life who supported me that way when I was really in despair, and so I like to be that voice also for other young ones.
I really want you to touch on the aspects of dance that we don't see. I know there's resilience, I know there's commitment, but I see you dancing at a level now that you were dancing at 20 years ago.
Yeah, thank you.
How do you do it? I mean, physically, it's so grueling, but when you're on stage, we just see all the beauty involved. But what is it that we do not know, that we couldn't know about dancing?
I think what the audience doesn't see is the level of inner work that happens. There are a lot of systems within my experience of this industry that were harmful to me, as far as a perfectionist mindset, major self-criticism, doubt, insecurity, these things that we have a really good way of masking and we don't present on stage. But in my story, it came up to bite me in the butt and really catch up with me. So I do a lot of work to...
In what ways?
Sure. I found myself dealing with a lot of anxiety and pretty depressed for a point in my life. And I realized that I had to break down all the things that were getting me to that point, which was the perfectionism, which was the critical mindset, and really explore my inner world and heal those voices. And I think that's what I really, my longevity, I would credit to that inner world work, because it's a lot of getting out of my own way, challenging my limiting beliefs, allowing myself to be the best dancer that I know that I am. I
really expected you to talk about the physical aspects of it. I did not expect you to talk about the emotional toll.
Yeah.
There must be some truth to both sides of that, though, because physically it's challenging too. You 100%. Cannot maintain the athleticism that you do as a dancer for this long without there being some bumps in the road, some challenges there.
Yeah, it's all of it. I'm a fully integrated being, so it's the physical, it's the emotional, it's the spiritual, it's all of it. And the physical stuff, I'm really fortunate to have a great care team. My longevity, I credit that to my care team as well. I learned, in this crisis moment that I'm talking to you about, I learned how to ask for support. I didn't know how to do that before. I thought I had to do it all on my own. And so looking around and asking my PT, how can you help me with this injury? Asking my massage therapist, my acupuncturist, all the people that help support me, my therapist. All these people help with the physical element. And then it's the emotional element. There comes a point that, for me at least, that my body is so trained. I have been doing this since I was 4. So for a very long time. And there comes a point where I can only train my body so far. And then there becomes an emotional element, a spiritual element that comes through that work that helps me get even further physically, because I'm releasing control in a way of this physical being that has gotten me so far. But if I hold on to it with a tight grip, I learned through injury, through falling down, that control has limited me. It has landed me in depression. It has landed me with anxiety. It has landed me with a lot of pain in my life. So it's sort of this letting go of control, allowing my technique to be what it is, and allowing my artistry to come through the vehicle that is my body.
When you look at your career, do you feel you're the best you've ever been right now?
Yeah, I do. Which I feel so fortunate to have experienced that. When I moved back from Monaco, I moved back to Seattle. My plan was to dance for 2 more years, and that was 8 years ago. So something I love about ballet, I love about life, is that if you're open, it keeps teaching you things. There's always something to learn. And so I'm not done learning. I keep learning in the studio, and I keep growing, and that allows me to keep expanding.
I think, too, that it must be a great example to other dancers who look at your career and look at how exceptional you are still and think that they can do it also. But it's a combination of things that you've sort of cobbled together as a person to grow, right, that have made it possible.
Absolutely. I love being able to hold that space I believe that by showing up wholly, with the whole heart, all of me fully invested, that in a way is a form of leadership. It's showing the younger dancers a possibility. It's showing the audience a possibility. When I go on stage, I'm offering a possibility of what life can look like to the audience. I'm offering them a chance to dream, to get lost in beauty, to feel inspired. And I take that role really seriously.
It's just magical, watching you bring all of these productions to life. Really, it's like taking us to another place. I love that.
Thank you.
I want to go back to Monaco.
Yeah.
A lot of dancers dream of being on an international stage and maybe going to somewhere in Europe to perform. And you went to Monaco. How did that happen, and how did it change you?
Oh, wow. It happened because Jean-Christophe Maillot, the choreographer and director of the Ballet de Monte Carlo, he brought his Romeo and Juliet to Pacific Northwest Ballet. Peter brought his Romeo and Juliet to Pacific Northwest Ballet. And I was so entranced by his working style, by his commitment and his devotion to his craft. And he liked my dancing. And so he opened the door for me to come and join the company. And I remember when I left, I was a principal here. I was at the top of my career.
Yes, you were. We all remember when you left.
I guess I was what I thought was the top of my career. And I remember thinking, and I remember saying to the audience and my friends that I wanted to go to expand my tool belt. I needed to go and learn new things so that I could deepen my artistry, so that I could hone my craft. And I knew that. I did not know the challenges that life would present me with. Oh gosh, relational challenges. I was in a marriage before I left, and so we were doing long distance for a while, and that just became untenable. And that was challenging to be, again, in a way, on my own. I was on my own in Europe. I was in a wonderful company, of course.
In Monte Carlo.
In Monte Carlo, which was glamorous and wonderful, performing for the royal family, the princely family. As we mentioned, I'm from Santa Cruz, California, which is a surfing town. So to find myself there performing on such stages was just a dream that I didn't even know I had for myself.
And what did you learn from the experience? How did it change you as a person, as a dancer?
Yeah, as a dancer, I learned how to deepen my tools. I learned how to really dig into my artistry. And in a way, that's where I began my journey of releasing control. My training up until then was really much about like shaping my body into being a specific shape. And there I learned how to trust my body. I say that P&B was my formative years and Monaco was my transformative years. That it just took all those things that I already had and just blew them apart and expanded them. And on a personal level, that's a really good question. It's all intertwined for me, my personal life and my artistic and theater life. But I learned how to process anguish and despair and grief, really big grief, as I was exiting this marriage that was so meaningful to me, in a space where I felt very alone. And so I learned confidence in that. And I learned that having something to commit myself to that's outside of myself, and I mean ballet, showing up every day at the bar, that devotion, that was something that could guide me through the hardest moments of my life.
And then you came back.
Yeah, I did.
After 5 years away.
Yeah.
Was it like coming home? What was it like to return to Pacific Northwest Ballet?
Everyone in Europe asked me that. Why are you going back to America? I ask myself that still. I ask that same question sometimes. I came back because I was wanting to really explore the classical ballet. And I had done a lot of more contemporary work in Monaco. And I felt that things were shifting in my body. I also had learned a lot of new skills abroad. And so I wanted to bring them back and shape those new skills into a classical realm. And we have more of a classical rep here at P&B. So it was mostly artistically focused.
What was it like to then return and become the principal again?
Sure.
I mean, what was that like?
Yeah.
Everyone, I remember when you came back on stage and it was a packed house. I mean, everyone was just ecstatic that you'd returned.
It was a wonderful homecoming. It was wonderful to come back to, I said when I left that I would be back, and I don't think anyone quite believed me. I know
so.
Peter didn't believe me, and when I called him and said, hey, knock knock, can I come back? He was really surprised, and it felt wonderful. It also gave me an opportunity to explore more of my inner world stuff. That's going to be a theme that comes up a lot because it's something that I'm really deeply curious about. I felt pressure. I felt a big pressure coming back. That was from my external world, living in the public eye, having a lot of people know something about my story, and in that space feeling like they have a bit of ownership of my story. That was challenging because then I felt I had to live up to something.
Expectations were huge, weren't they?
Big expectations.
But they were other people's expectations.
Exactly, and I didn't know at the time, I didn't have the tools to recognize that. So I was performing to this idea of what I thought other people expected of me, and also had a lot of pressure coming from myself to meet some sort of obscure goal where the can keeps getting kicked further and further away that I could never catch up to. So I came back with, it was so complex, very full, very feeling very happy to feel back at home, and also very confronted.
So that was a transformational time for you, the beginning of something completely new and different.
It was.
Wasn't it?
Yeah.
Walk us through that, because now you are a life coach. You are a certified life coach. You did some business studies at Harvard, at Cornell, and I kind of stalk you online, I'm not gonna lie, because you have so much to offer just in terms of life lessons and inspiring others to find the joy in life. I love it.
Yeah, thank
Tell
you
us,
so
how
much.
did you, I mean, what? It's been transformational.
Yeah, so I feel so fortunate that I've spent my life in devotion to defining what personal excellence looks like for me. And so having felt that, I feel like that's a tool and a gift that I want to share and hold space for others. So as I transform myself away from this stage, and into another way of holding space for others, I'm so inspired by and excited by the idea of helping other people connect with their purpose, with their passion, with their most fully designed life.
How did dance move you to that space? I mean, what was it about the life you've been living that has moved you into the space of still wanting to help other people, but in a completely different way?
Sure. I had an awakening that I have been in a role of service my whole life, that I give myself to others whether it's on stage, whether it's coaching, and that is really rewarding for me. I had to learn some boundaries because I didn't understand those, and I could just give and give and give and give and give and have nothing left for myself. So realizing that a continual thread of my life has been one of service, and how do I translate my service as a ballet dancer into one that supports other people realizing their dreams? And I will also credit my grandmother.
Why?
Yeah, she, maybe 3 years ago, I called her because I was processing sort of the end of this career. I've been processing it for a while. And she was so affirming. She said, Lucien, I have always seen the special light in you, and I know that you chose ballet. And she's like, I didn't know anything about ballet, but I saw that it was a portal for your light. And she just affirmed me that she's like, when you stop dancing, that light doesn't go anywhere. That light carries on with you. And up until that time, I had thought that this would be the most luminous moment in my life. And I was preparing myself for this sort of death, like that when I stop dancing, life will be over in a sort of way. And that reminder from her, that she's seen me since birth, sharing my light in a special way, was just, I learned then, I just have to learn how to translate my light. I learned that ballet has been my language, and I just need to learn another. So that's where the education has come in, that's where my studies have come in, and really digging into the life lessons that I've learned all along the way.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that you can even connect it back to family and to your grandmother, someone who's known you longer than anyone in the world, right? So which brings me to your final season.
Yeah.
What is it like to be in your final season on stage? It's even hard for me to say it out loud. What?
It's so much. It's wonderful. It's so wonderful, and I feel so fortunate to be able to design the end of my career while I'm at the height of my game, and design it in such a way that celebrates the legacy that I have left behind, and also continue to offer that to the audience. It feels really good to invite the audience in this final chapter, so that we can all savor all the sweet moments, and really celebrate these careers. Our lives are so special. They're so fleeting. So any moment that we can have to highlight these special moments, I feel grateful for. I'm honored, I feel grateful, humbled. Like every day I wake up and I thank my body. I say, thank you. Thank you for giving me this life. Thank you for, I don't take it for granted. I've been through so many injuries.
You have. I didn't realize that.
I'm really good at masking them. And
Wow.
again, my care team really supports me through that.
What were some of those injuries that we would never have noticed?
Sure, yeah. Earlier in my career, I tore a piece of bone from my sit bones, from my hamstring. I think the technical term is an avulsion. And so still to this day, I don't sit very comfortably. So I fidget.
But you use that part of your body in all dance.
All dance.
For everything that
Yeah.
you do, every movement, don't
Yeah,
you?
I do. Yeah, the hamstrings are very
Wow.
active. And then currently, just arthritis, which comes from a lot of repetitive use. Yeah.
At your young age?
I know. Yeah, but I've been using my feet for a lot of my life. So I have arthritis in my foot, which I have to take care of.
It does take a toll physically on your body, doesn't it?
It does.
Even though it keeps giving to you and giving to you, it's taking away too.
Yeah, and I thank whomever for having an open mind and heart to all of those experiences. For me, pain is it sucks, but it's also an opportunity to learn. It's my body telling me something. It's saying you need to pay attention. You need to listen here and take care. And so, again, the inner world work comes in of asking myself, what's the lesson here?
I do think it's exquisite. Is that the right word? I don't know. I don't know if I have the right word, but I think it's just really special that you get to choose the moment of your exit.
Me too.
Versus having your health or circumstance choose it for you.
Yeah, I do too. And of course there are moments that I am a complex being, so there are all the voices that come through of like, are you sure? Like, are you ready to let go of this? And the other voices that are just so excited for this transition. And something that I feel really good about as far as like designing my life is something that, again, by example, I help my clients with, that we are designing our lives, and how do we want to design our lives towards best possible outcomes. And I feel really lucky to have this opportunity to be a participant in designing my life in this wonderful company.
But if you changed your mind, I don't think anyone would be opposed to you spending another year.
Yeah, I keep surprising myself.
Yeah.
Also, by being open to life, I didn't know that I'd keep getting better. And that's cool.
I mean, isn't that a bit extraordinary that, I mean, you've been dancing for almost, 35, 36, 37 years, something like that.
Yeah.
And you're still getting better and better and better, which is sort of contrary to what we'd expect as you age.
100%.
How does that work?
Yeah, it challenges the stories that I had for myself too. And so what I do in that process is look at my limiting belief, ask it what purpose it's serving, and then write a new script, because my limiting beliefs would have told me that I should have retired long ago. And no, that's not true.
It doesn't actually have a number on it.
It doesn't at all.
Wow. After the life that you've lived, your young life so far, but the career that you've had, what do you know now that you would tell the Lucien from 4, 5, 6, 7?
Yeah, that it's okay to be different. That's a big one for me. I wanted to fit in, and I felt this difference that we talked about earlier. And I've always felt this tension between like wanting to fit in, but also wanting to celebrate my unique gifts. And I would kindly hold little Lucien and just say, it's okay. Embrace your differences, celebrate your differences, and don't compare yourself to others.
That's a hard one when you're in
one.
something that's honestly so competitive
Yeah.
and individual.
Yeah, it is. And I learned from, it took me a while to learn this lesson. It wasn't until maybe in my 20s that somebody offered to me, they were like, never compare yourself to others, compare yourself to your best version of yourself. And that was illuminating to me. I had never considered that, because I was always looking at the best person in the room.
And wanting to be like that, or
Yeah.
be like that,
Yeah.
versus who am I? as a
Exactly.
dancer?
And then I learned that I'm by comparing myself to somebody else, I'm limiting myself to them, to their ability. And my abilities are unique and vast. And if I don't explore those and allow myself to explore those, then I'm robbing myself from the opportunity to be myself.
What would you say to young dancers today, to little boys who might be in the place where you were when you were 4, 5, 6, or 7? They want to dance, maybe they don't have the support that you had, but they feel called to it.
Sure.
What would you say?
I would encourage them. I would encourage them to deepen into their love, to enjoy these moments. Whether or not they become a dancer, the things that they learn through ballet will serve them throughout their life. I would also say that our world needs you. It needs artists. It needs people who are in touch with their artistic expression. And dancers never give themselves enough credit. We come into the studio every day and we think that that's all we're doing, and we don't realize our intelligence. We don't realize our gifts. I'm speaking broad strokes here. Some of us do, but the ability for a dancer to transform their own lives and the lives of others is huge by them offering their gift. So I would just encourage them.
The world does need you. The world does need artists.
Yeah.
I want you to delve deeper into that, because
Sure.
especially in this moment where we are all finding ourselves, more than ever, going to the opera, going to the ballet, going to the symphony really does resonate with people.
Yeah. It for me, it speaks to our human experience. And I think in many ways in this world now, we are disconnected. We're disconnected from each other. We're disconnected from our humanity. There's so much noise out there that pulls us away from truth. And for me, artistic expression is a form of truth. It's a lens into our humanity. And so I believe in the transformative power of art, that we need more artists of every discipline to come forward. Even I believe that we are all artists, in fact, and we just need the courage to claim expressing ourselves.
I mean, imagine a world without art, without ballet, without music. Just even try to imagine that.
Yeah.
You can't.
No.
We'd all be miserable.
Yeah.
It would be awful. Your final season, as we talked about, is going to celebrate your legacy. But what do you want people here at PNB to remember about your career, to have taken away from your career?
It requires so much courage to be so vulnerable in front of so many people. And through my example, I would just offer for other dancers, for other humans to take the risk, to try and be vulnerable, to try and be curious and explore an unknown, because that is, for me, that's what life is about. And it opens up so much possibility when you can approach life that way. So, yeah, that's what I would leave.
For those of us who have had the joy of seeing you on stage, what do you want the rest of us to remember about this extraordinary career you've had here?
Yeah. If there's a performance where we have connected, where I beam my whole being into the audience and beyond, and if that has landed with you, remember that. Cherish it. That is a special moment, and we are afforded very few special moments in life. And that is a moment of deep, deep connection where you have felt seen in some way by me, and I have felt seen in some way by you. So I would just cherish those moments and hold on to them.
And then finally,
Yeah.
is there any moment that you will take with you forever? There are probably many, but is there any moment or situation or experience that you've had here that was life-changing that you just will carry with you absolutely forever?
One of my colleagues was just asking me, what is your favorite ballet? And I said, that is like asking me to choose my favorite child. And I don't have children, and that's probably why. It's like each thing that I do, each moment that I have integrates so fully into my heart, into part of my being. So trying to pull out just one moment, I guess I can expand the umbrella there and just say that like the awareness that all of these moments integrate into who I am and become a part of me is a gift that I will definitely take away.